Hello again, this is Dr. Schleif with another instructional video on the Solar Rover / Junior Solar Sprint, depending on whether you're competing in Destination Mars or maybe the Energy was Olympics or perhaps Innovation Games. So in the last video, we secured our alligator clips onto the leads of the solar panel using a bit of solder. And that's a good first step. The next thing that we're going to focus on in this video is attaching the gear to the motor and then a gear to the axle. So the Pitsco kits come with a nice selection of gears. And the clue that I'll give you now is that you can either design your car for torque or for speed, but not really for both. There is a balancing act there. So we'll tend, and feel free to sort of explore that idea. I'm going to start with a small gear on my motor and a larger gear on my rear axle. And so it does indeed come with two axles and the motor there. And for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and pick one. And so I'm going to choose this gear right here. I think there's a key inside of the Pitsco kit that tells you, how many teeth each one of these has, and you can feel free to do some research about gear ratios and speed advantage and the mechanical advantage and torque. You have to have enough torque to overcome the inertia, the mass of the solar rover. And so if you build a very massive rover, it needs to have enough torque to sort of get it off the starting line. So if you build your car for speed at the expense of torque and you don't have enough torque to get the car moving, well, then your car will just stay there right at the starting line. It's never going to get off to the races. So so you need to make sure that your car has enough torque to move, and that can easily be tested, and you could perhaps change out the gear. For the axle gear, I'm just going to go ahead and choose this guy right here. Or maybe this guy. Yeah, for this video, it doesn't really matter. So there's a number of different gears that you could select. But again, I'm going to start with a small gear on my motor and a larger gear on my axle. So we're just going to attach the gear to the motor. And so this is creating a transmission, right? We are transmitting the energy from our motor. And once you have power connected, then the motor's going to spin. And depending on which way you've wired it up, it'll either spin forward or reverse. And so you could always switch the leads around to make it correct for the motion you're trying to achieve. And you can see that I just used a little bit of force to sort of push that gear onto the motor. I'm trying to do the same thing with the axle here. Fine. I'm going to place my gear roughly halfway down the axle. Depending on the design of your solar rover, you may place the gear on the axle some other place. So you could have front wheel drive and you could have the gear on the front axle, rear wheel drive, and you could have it on both. You could perhaps connect a rubber band between two different axles and have a transmission through a rubber band. It is possible to do what's called a direct drive transmission, where you just put one of the wheels directly on the motor, and that's going to sort of power it there. But I'm going to use sort of a gear transmission here, and so the idea would be that as the motor spins, the gear that's connected to the motor will transmit that energy into the gear that's on the axle. So roughly about halfway across like this. All right, so I've attached a gear to my motor and a gear to my axle, and that's a good second step if you're building your solar rover. All right, we'll see you for the next video.